What are your thoughts on the shilling as we approach the end of the month, just a few more days?
A very good afternoon to you, Larry. The shilling, well, at the end of the month, we generally experience a very typical end-month pressure with a lot of the oil companies getting back to the market, a number of foreigners trying to get some hard currency off their Kenyan earnings and vice versa. But all in all, it's expected that the shilling will come a bit under pressure. As remember, this month, over the next few days, we're expected to have the government, end of the government financial year. So it's expected that the shilling may come under pressure over the next few days. And however, yesterday and the day before, we saw some reprieve for the shilling in terms of a syndicated loan coming in and really helping the shilling gain some strength. Today closing at that 84 shilling and 14 cent mark against the greenback.
Your view seems to support that of many other analysts quoted by Reuters. For instance, the weighted interbank average falling for the first time in 7 sessions. It slid to 19.3%. And one analyst here saying the shilling has improved slightly on the interbank selling, but that cannot be sustained. Overall, into the, let's say, into the next 2 weeks, do you think it might be able to recover?
Well, I don't think it will recover much. Actually, looking further ahead down the line, actually expected to lose substantial ground and head towards the 90 shilling against the greenback mark. So at this point, really, it seems that the shilling may have a lot of pressure coming in down the road. And remember, one of the big things that's been really prepping it up is the central bank's move to retain a very high interest rate in terms of the CBR benchmark rate. So that's expected to start being brought downwards, start easing, and that will have a rather unfavorable effect on the shilling.
Let's move on to the Nairobi Securities Exchange, starting off with Kenyan Market, one of the biggest gainers still at the market today. But the workers have filed a certificate of urgency, a suit in the High Court, demanding that its takeover by Puma Energy be put on hold until the position on their jobs is hard. How is that likely to affect the stock?
Well, looking at the market today, the market seems to have shrugged off that particular news item, and the stock actually gained about 2.5%. And to actually new year, a new 12-month high of about 16 shillings and 95 cents. So the market definitely seems to have shrugged off that particular news item. And it's expected that the upward trend the stock has had over the past week or so since it was relisted, rather the suspension was lifted off the stock, it's expected to continue on that upward trend, in part because the analysts and the market have had quite some time to look at the stock, look at exactly what the play is there, and compare it with a lot of other Pan-African operators of a similar nature. And what's very clear is that Kenyan Market has been for a very long time undervalued. So the market is taking measures to see its valuation come up to par with the rest of the Pan-African operators. That aside, however, there's quite some concern in terms of the recent announcement that the company issued a profit warning, and that is the other side to the story as far as the Kenyan Market is concerned.
There's been a lot of news about Kenyan Market. It also won 2 tenders to deliver fueled Marban crude for the next month in the open tendering system. But moving away from that, I want to touch on also Pan-African Insurance, which is one of the biggest losers at the market today. What happened there?
Well, Pan-African Insurance had a substantial decline in terms of the stock's value today. However, one would be hesitant to read too much into that because only 100 stocks moved. I mean, 100 shares of the stock moved. So one would be a bit hesitant to read too much into that. But more generally, Pan-African Insurance has been a pretty good performer over some time. And unfortunately, over the past financial results the company gave us towards the end of last year was that there was a substantial, rather small decline in terms of its profitability. But all in all, one can really see that there are gains in that particular counter. It's only a matter of the very tough environment that the insurers and the investment firms in the country and in the region have been under due to the macroeconomic environment.
And finally, let's talk about centum investment. Unusually high number of volumes of shares traded today. Why is that?
Well, remember last week we saw the company come out with its year-end results, and the market seemed to have had a knee-jerk reaction that was unfavorable to the company's stock. But slowly the market is beginning to appreciate the complexities that surround that particular stock, and it's really viewed as a huge buying opportunity by the long-term valuer, the long-term investor, and those who are really fundamental investors as a whole. So those rushing out of the stock are really actually meeting even many more trying to get a hold of that particular stock, as remember its net asset value is substantially way more than what the company stock right now is trading, which is about 13 shillings, and the net asset value is at about 20 shillings. And that's a very conservative figure. So the long-term investor has a lot to smile about when they're buying the stock at these levels. It's only that the market generally has had rather low volumes trading, and centum at this point in time just today happened to have one of the biggest movers, to be one of the bigger movers in the market.
But overall, as you mentioned, not too much excitement in the market today. Maybe there might be a bit more drama and color tomorrow.
We certainly hope so.
All right, Kimathi Ikiao, independent analyst with us in Nairobi. Many thanks for your insights on the market. Always a pleasure speaking with him.